Salute to all the supporters, all the Patreon members, all the subscribers. I want to thank you guys for your support and your contribution made to the platform. It really means a lot to me. Everybody that showed out and watched yesterday's live stream, I appreciate it. I'm back with another one today. And the reason why I'm doing this article is to show you guys what's going to be the end result for brothers with passports and sisters with passports traveling all around the world as well. Okay, mainly people from Africa, the Caribbean islands. I'm not sure. I know they have their own issues that they have when obtaining visas and traveling to different countries. But this is mainly for everybody on the continent of Africa, whether you're East Indian, North African, a white South African, or a dark-skinned African. If you hold an African passport, this affects you. All right. And I'm going to give a backstory to why it's always, they've always been doing stuff like this, right? When you go to immigration, when you go to the airport, I'm going to tell you a little story. Well, not stories, but things that I've seen traveling abroad and at the immigration office and at the airport when traveling. So this guy right here, he's been infected, excuse me. He's been receiving treatment against Mpox at the Goma General Hospital following a surge in cases in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. All right, so that looks painful. Now, can I give a little joke? It's just a lighthearted joke. So brother right here, looks like a Nestle Crunch bar. I just had to get that off. My bad, but let's get serious. This looks like it hurts. I don't know where this came from. The chief of the World Health Organization is considering convening an expert committee for advice on whether Africa's growing Mpox outbreak in Africa should be declared an international emergency. So this is putting a target on Africans' backs. And if it puts a target on Africans' backs, then it might put a target on all Africoid looking people all around the world. No matter if you're from Africa, the Caribbean islands, South America, Canada, somewhere in Europe, this might put a target on your back. All right. Deadly strain of the virus previously called monkeypox has been detected in both Kenya and Uganda in recent days after cases have been surging in the Congo. Okay. So what was it, about 27? Where's my phone? About 27,000 people have been infected in the Congo. Yes, 27,000 people in the Congo have reportedly been diagnosed with Mpox, right? And people have been pleading for a cure. The invasion stage, a single lesion can be a symptom of the virus, and most people recover in a month. Headache, muscle pain, chills, fever, exhaustion, swollen glands, backache. So basically, it starts off thinking that you have a cold or you have the flu, something normal. Then within 1 to 2 days, you see blisters. So how virus enters the body: broken skin, so cuts, respiratory tract, breathing, eyes, nose, mouth, and sex. Why did they put 3 X's there? They could have they didn't have to put 3 X's right here. All right. Mpox causes a fever, muscle aches, fatigue, and swollen lymph nodes, but the most obvious symptoms are the infectious skin lesions and eruptions that emerge across a person's body. It is predominantly spread through close contact with these blisters and can be fatal, particularly in people with weakened immune systems. That outbreak predominantly affected gay and bisexual. Well, no, they're talking about The WHO declared a public health emergency in 2022 when a milder strain of Mpox called Clade 2 and endemic in West Africa spread from Nigeria to more than 100 countries. That outbreak predominantly affected gay and bisexual men, and the emergency was declared over in May 2023. Okay. And the DRC has reported over 29,000 cases, 1,100 fatalities. So 1,100 people have lost their lives. The vast majority of them children since the beginning of 2023. Are they still talking about clade, or I think they're talking about clade still. So they're projecting what happened a couple years ago or last year, right? The same thing to happen again with this. And I feel like it's all, I don't want to say it on here, but I might talk about it on my Patreon page, how I feel, what I think. The African Union said last week it had approved 8.1 million. This is the pounds, 8.1 million pounds. Sometimes I get confused between pounds and euros. 8.1 million pounds from COVID funds to support Mpox testing, monitoring data collections, and access to vaccines. Vaccines Africa CDC's efforts to continue to combat the Mpox outbreak across the continent. So this is a picture of somebody's hands. Yeah. So I don't want to say what I really feel, right? Because it's the same old every single year. Every couple of years, we see stuff like this go on. All right. You know what it is. I know what it is. You guys are smart enough to know what I'm thinking. All right. Here's the thing. Even before stuff like the Mpox, I remember being in Thailand immigration in Nonthaburi, Chiang Watana, the airport, Taiwan's airport, and the immigration office. And they always have a sign, like a little small sign or one of those little small foldable message placards that they have to say, hey, you know, be aware of the African swine flu or swine disease or the African Nile disease or the African dingo disease or something, right? They always have something, and I'm being objective right now. They always have something, somehow, some way. Like if you're a foreigner, you always have to go through immigration, right? If you're flying in and out, whether you're a foreigner or a native citizen, you know, what better way to use, you know, somehow use propaganda to, you know, to inflict propaganda on the masses by putting negative messages, fake negative messages out there. Well, fake and not so fake negative messages out there at immigration and at the airport. All right. When I was in the Taiwan immigration, Taiwan airport, Thailand immigration, multiple Thailand immigration spots. In Taiwan, I will only go to one immigration location. The different, you know, the Thailand airport, they always had a sign. You know, I don't remember the signs being huge, right? But it's visible to where you can see where they're saying like, "Hey, be careful of these Africans with this this Nile River disease, this swine disease, this whatever they named. It's some sort of virus or whatever coming from Africa." Now, during this time, especially in Taiwan, you know, and then when I went back to Thailand in 2022, we all know what the pandemic was about, right? So the focus was coming from China, and then it quote unquote spread. So now the focus was somewhat sort of off China a little bit, not all the way. And it's like anybody and everybody can have it, right? So what did they do? What did they implement in the midst of all this? It's like, hey, I know you're worried about this so and so 19 over here, but hey, be careful of this shit over here that's coming from out of Africa, right? And it's like, huh? So nobody was checking for anybody that was coming in from Africa. You know, they was checking your visa, your documents. They weren't checking for your medical records, right? If they were checking for medical records, it was for the other thing that was very, very popular during that time. But they had to denigrate African people at that time and be like, hey, I know y'all focus on this, which is the face of this, according to the media. There's an Asian face to this, according to the media. But we're trying to let you know about this, and there's a black face to it. And whatever we put a black face to, it's more scarier. It's even more scarier, right? So they've been doing stuff like this for years, doing little slick stuff like this for years. And now that you have an image, right? You have this image right here, and it's of an African man from the Congo. Now, if you're an African, if you're black, especially if you're African and you hold an African passport, whenever you travel, even if you have enough funds in your bank account to prove that you can support yourself, you have a returning flight, you have all your documents, your paperwork, everything's been authenticated, you will still be harassed at immigration. Masks are gonna come out. I mean, it's gonna be even worse the way they treat you. They might spray you down, they might take you to the back room. Somebody in a biohazard suit, two people in biohazard suits might come out and violate you, take you to the back room and violate you, right? And who knows? You know what? I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not even gonna say that. I was gonna say something else also. But now that you have a face, and they made sure somebody black, was the face, right? If you hold an African passport and you're East Indian, you're Asian, you're Caucasian, right? So you're white, like a white South African, or you're white from any part of Africa, you will get the same treatment too. And I've seen this traveling abroad. I never forget, we know the history of South Africa. We know the history, the surface history as far as all over Africa, right? Especially in South Africa. And there was a time when they were kicking off a lot of white South Africans, taking the land from them and giving it back to black South Africans. They were being kicked off of their land, out of their homes and stuff like that. So these people felt like, hey, man, there's nothing for me here anymore. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to book a ticket and teach English overseas. I'm going to do something in a different country, right? A lot of them will come over to Asia and teach English. And the way they were treated at immigration, like the white South Africans, was no different than the black South Africans. Anybody that held that passport, they were all treated the same. So if I have a passport, right? If I have a passport, but I don't have a visa, I can enter into the country of Taiwan and get a 90-day stamp. And then after 90 days, I can get an extension. Boom, another 90-day stamp. So I could stay there for like up to 6 months minimum, right? They might let you stay there for a year straight. No problems. But just because somebody's white, if they have a South African, some sort of African, whatever country from Africa passport, However, whatever the immigration officer felt, they would say it was up to their discretion, to the officer. They didn't really follow anything by the book. So they would look at you, they would look at your bank account, and they would ask what you doing over here. And it's like, hey, I'm doing this, waiting to get my work permit. Okay, come back in a month. So they would have to fly out the country, especially in a place like Taiwan. Um, you might not want, if with a South African passport, you might not want to fly from Taiwan to mainland China. Everywhere wasn't safe. From what I heard, South Africans, it was safe for them to go to Hong Kong and travel back, which is not a long flight, but to do that every month, uh, that money adds up, right? You're breaking the bank. After a while, it's like, damn, you haven't gotten your work permit yet, man. They're having difficulties, yada yada yada. All right, man. This time I'm giving you 2 weeks, right? So the way they were treated, no matter what their genetic makeup or their race was, if they had an African passport, you know, like, look, man, you ain't staying here, right? And the longer it takes for you to get your work permit, shit, the shorter amount of time I'm gonna give you. I remember one guy, he had to fly in and out every single week, and at one point in time, he just said he had to go back home, right? He had to go back home because he tried to get a degree off of a culinary certificate. I'm like, that ain't no degree, right? So he had to go back home. But here's the thing, man. Now the spotlight is on Africans. No matter what your genetic makeup, if you hold an African passport, good luck. And if you black, even with an American passport, you know, they might be like, they might ask you some questions. But the ill treatment that a lot of people from Africa have already been getting, right? Traveling over abroad, especially in places like Asia, now they finna step it up a notch, and now they have an excuse not to let you in. No, you come from here, and you know these people in your home country are infected by this. And no matter how much you explain, because you have boots on the ground, and you might be like, hey, I'm from there. I didn't see none of that. Like, that's in the news. That ain't got nothing to do with me. It don't matter. If it hits the news, then immigration worldwide is going to get wind of it. And, you know, you're going to be flagged in the system. Like, hey, somebody comes through with this passport, man, pull them to the back. Make sure they have this. Make sure they have that. Make sure they have their medical records, and they paid for this, and they got they had this and that tested on them, and make sure they get their results. So make sure their results are authenticated, and make sure they go to the back to do another test when they land here, right? So it's open season right now. First time I saw that pic weeks ago, I thought it was AI, but it's real. Wow, yeah, it is real. And it looks painful. So I don't, man, look, Africans were already getting shitted on, you know, when I was in Asia, traveling abroad. Now it's even worse, right? They probably teaching this in the schools over there. So your buddy's telling you like, hey, man, out here, you know, I have me nice girlfriend. I'm traveling. I'm making money. Give me my money, right? I'm eating fufu. I'm eating jollof rice. I'm making money. I have a nice condo. I smoke a cigar on the balcony. Man, all that shit is coming to a halt right now, right? When a chick sees you and she can look at you and tell you from Africa, boy, man, she finna do the road runner dash away from you. Even if you're clean and nothing's wrong with you, your skin could be smooth and clear. They still gonna pack their shit up and move to the other side of the food court, or move to the other train car, or pack their shit up and and you know and or get off at that train stop and let it go and catch the next one. There was a motherfucker from the Congo on that train. You know, they'll put their shirt over their nose. They'll hold their breath when they see you. Oh, it's gonna be, it's open season right now. I can see it right now because it was already doing this shit in Asia, especially China, right? But it's about to be open season. I'm glad I'm out the travel game, man. But anyways, you guys got any questions or comments? Would you like to call in? If not, I'll end this in 1 minute. I'll give you guys a minute. Check out the links in the description box below after this video. If I take too long, check out the links in the description box below the previous video on the previous live stream. Click that link, and to join the Facebook page or the Patreon page. I posted up a Patreon video the other day. I'm about to post a Patreon video either tonight or in the morning. Man, some shit that kind of pissed me off today happened. So, I mean, it's no big deal, but it irks me, right? I'm going to talk about two things on Patreon. This chick I had to basically let go today, and something that happened earlier today. So I'll fill you guys in on the Patreon page. All right. I might do a live stream later on. I don't know if you guys enjoyed that Black Myth Wukong video game. Visually, it looks good. I still have more to play, so I might get on that in about 30 minutes. So if you're interested in watching me play that, stick around for a little while, and I'll do a live stream. I'll play it for about 2 hours. All right, I'll put in 2 hours of work tonight on that Black Myth Wukong, right? I think that's it. You guys be safe. Thank you for your support. And I'll do a live stream tomorrow. Peace.